Hey guys, I'm Ryan Wright.
And I'm Madisen Beaty.
Madisen is here today. She came on the channel forever ago. In case you guys don't know Madisen, she is an actress who has appeared in such works as The Master by Paul Thomas Anderson. And she also has a reoccurring role on The Fosters. And you can catch her in Outlaws and Angels that she just finished filming, starring Chad Michael Murray.
Why aren't you my publicist?
I don't know.
Had that down. That was so professional, Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyway, yeah, she's a working actress. Speaking of actors and shit, 10 amazing improvised movie moments by ScreenRant. And that's what we do. We're improvising all this right now.
It's all
We're improvising all this right now.
Guys.
Unscripted. Bet Heath Ledger will be on there. Django Unchained scene.
Movie fans never know just how much time, money, and energy is spent creating the next Hollywood hit before the cameras even start rolling. But as polished or acclaimed as a script may be, there's no predicting what will happen once the cast and crew arrive on set. And sometimes lines or scenes improvised on the spot can not only work, but become instant classics. Here are ScreenRant's 10 amazing improvised movie moments. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. The cast of the Harry Potter series faced pressures not many actors will ever experience. Imagine being trusted to play beloved characters in 8 movies over the span of a decade, but even at a young age, they proved to be a talented group. When Lucius Malfoy arrives at the end of the second movie to proclaim his innocence, there was no line in the script to end the conversation. Actor Jason Isaacs asked for advice, and the director told him to just make something up. Malfoy turned to the boy wizard, sarcastically hoping he would keep saving the day.
Mr. Potter will always be around to save the day.
And the 12-year-old Daniel Radcliffe didn't disappoint, reacting to the veiled threat with a promise of his own.
Don't worry, I will wait.
No way, that was improvised.
It was all the veteran actor needed to see to know Radcliffe was the real deal. Fast and Furious 6. The Fast and Furious movie series owes as much of its success to the memorable cast as the high-speed action. The love-hate relationship between characters played by Ludacris Bridges and Tyrese Gibson is one fan-favorite dynamic. Gibson's forehead is a regular target for teasing.
Nah, that's not as big as your forehead.
And he can give as good as he gets, taking a playful shot at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson at the end of the 6th movie.
Better hide your baby oil. Better hide that big-ass forehead. I'm just joking. Whatever.
Tyrese's baby oil line was scripted, but The Rock's reply wasn't, meaning both of his co-stars' reactions were caught in real time.
That's cool.
Martin Scorsese's story of an undercover pulled into a Boston crime family was overflowing with talented actors. Jack Nicholson and Leonardo DiCaprio shared a handful of incredible scenes. When Nicholson's mob boss suspects he has a rat in his crew, the young recruit talks tough to throw off suspicion. But Nicholson decided to add something to the scene without informing his co-star. Pulling a gun out from under the table changed the tone of the scene entirely, and it visibly rattled DiCaprio. He stayed in character though, and used the added emotion to deliver an even better version that wound up in the finished film.
So what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing?
The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
What?
The Lord of the Rings ended with a massive war, but in the trilogy's first film, a fight between Strider and an Uruk-hai leader was thrilling enough, although it was a lot more dangerous than audiences realized. During the fight, the orc actor was supposed to throw a stunt knife past Viggo Mortensen, who would dodge out of the way. But when the scene was filmed, the knife slipped, flying directly at Mortensen's face. The actor's weapons training took over. He instantly reacted by knocking the blade out of the air.
No!
Shut up!
No!
Since the mistake was too good to leave out of the final cut. Die Hard.
That's
Director
cool.
David Harlan and
Scary.
Bruce Willis relied on practical effects and a single skyscraper to make Die Hard one of the greatest action movies ever made. No fan will forget the death of the villain Hans Gruber, who realized his plan was blown only as he dropped 30 stories off the building's edge. The effects have stood the test of time, but it's actor Alan Rickman's expression that sold the moment. What most don't know is that it wasn't really acting. When Rickman was suspended for the real green screen drop, the director dropped him prematurely to guarantee the surprised look would be genuine. The actor wasn't impressed, but you can't argue with the results. Marvel's first movie starring the Asgardian god of thunder showed a lighter side to superheroics, but when Thor and Loki shared scenes with their father Odin, the result was pretty Shakespearean. That was mostly due to the classical training of Tom Hiddleston and Anthony Hopkins, with their emotions boiling over in one memorable moment. When Odin decides to banish Thor from his home, Loki comes to his defense, but is silenced by a menacing growl from his typically composed father. Apparently, the reply wasn't scripted. Hopkins simply snarled in character, and Hiddleston's stunned reaction, also in character, is just as improvised. The Hobbit. The story of Bilbo Baggins' greatest adventure begins as any Hobbit tale should, with a party. The dwarves who storm Bilbo's kitchen clearly know how to have fun, but not all their stunts and tricks are fueled by CG. While shooting the scene, the cast decided to throw a hard-boiled egg the length of the dinner table into actor Stephen Hunter's mouth. What audiences see in the finished film is the very first take, but the actors just as thrilled and surprised to see it pulled off so perfectly. Star Trek. The original Star Trek TV series made James Kirk, Spock, Leonard Nimoy, and the crew of the USS Enterprise household names, which meant millions of fans who were less than happy to see the roles recast for the 2009 movie reboot. Carl Urban landed the role of Dr. McCoy, but older viewers knew the character better by his nickname Bones. The name was a play on the term sawbones, but Urban decided to add his own spin. The new McCoy still split with his wife before joining forces with Jim Kirk, but when it came time to shoot their introduction, Urban improvised a new explanation for his future nickname.
Left is my bones.
Obviously, Abrams was a fan. The Two Towers. Directors don't insist on repeating takes just to make sure they have a wealth of choices in editing. Sometimes it's to help their actors warm up and execute a scene with added emotion. In the middle chapter of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy, Aragorn arrives to find what he believes are the burned remains of his hobbit friends, kicking an orc helmet in anger and defeat.
Oh, yeah.
With each take, actor Viggo Mortensen knocked the helmet closer and closer to the camera, so Jackson kept resetting until Mortensen let out a gut-wrenching scream before falling to his knees. Jackson was impressed, but it turned out the added emotion was due to the broken toes the actor suffered on the final take, the same one included in the finished movie.
So funny.
Fight Club. Once Tyler Durden steps out from the mind of Fight Club's narrator and into his real life, he forces the high-strung zombie to express himself in an unusual way. When it came to shooting the scene, director David Fincher felt something more was needed, telling actor Ed Norton not to punch Brad Pitt in the shoulder as they'd planned, but to go for his ear, without even giving him warning.
I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
The decision paid off, with Pitt's reaction making it into the final movie as a fan-favorite moment.
Motherfucker!
That's right, you're in Curious Case.
In the ear!
So what do you think of our list?
Mr.
Did we miss
Fincher.
any of your favorite unscripted scenes or dialogue? Let us know in our comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
What's amazing about that list is a lot of these moments are like impactful moments in the film itself.
And not like just like any film. Like they could have put movies that are not as big. Like those are all like classic movies.
Oh yeah, the Harry Potter and the
I
Chambers.
will win.
That how oh god, I like the way that was shot. It just I that shocked me that was actually improvised. I took it as a total scripted moment because it seemed so like Hollywood powerful at the time.
So cool.
And it's cool that like Daniel Radcliffe as a young lad was able to pull off a cool line too.
They're very talented. young
Very
people.
talented.
That's a lot to carry as a young person.
Oh yeah.
Gosh.
He's probably got a huge dick now. That's what comes with success, right?
Totally.
I notice the more subs I get, the bigger my penis gets.
I wonder how you would explain that. Are you sure it's not your ego?
I've never achieved a full erection before. So I'm learning to develop an erection with more subs.
This is something we should definitely talk about.
We should talk about it.
Maybe another time, but it's something that should...
Maybe another time when the camera's
Oh
on.
my god! No! The Departed.
The Departed. That scene, I did hear about that when Jack Nicholson pulls out a gun and how that was improvised.
Okay, I just did a movie where we work with guns, and it is very scary. They have a gun check before you go, and you make sure that all the chambers are empty.
If you don't know if the gun's fucking taking care of people, have died from that.
I knew the gun was taken care of, and I was scared out of my
Yeah.
mind. I can, like, his reaction is so real because they could show you that it's fine, and then when you have a gun on set, it's just, oh my gosh.
But Jack Nicholson's known to improvise great stuff like that, you know, and it's cool that he's willing to do that to help out the other actor
And he's
too.
one of like the only people that could get away with that.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Like, can you imagine if I was on a set and I just pulled out a gun in a scene? They'd be
Well, it
like,
would have to make
Madison,
sense.
what are you doing?
If you did that on the Fosters, it wouldn't make much sense.
Maybe,
Curious
maybe
Case
that
of
would
Benjamin
happen.
Button wouldn't make sense.
Maybe young Daisy has, I don't know.
I don't think the subscriber base knows enough about the Fosters to catch on. The Lord of the Rings, when they threw the knife at Viggo Mortensen and he was able to hit it.
Can you imagine though?
That was
Knowing
so
that
badass.
that's what that's what you're worried about with the gun, like an actual knife.
I know, and the fact of how he saw it coming towards him and he was able to knock it away.
Like what a badass.
What a badass! So
Like, everyone
fucking
sees him as a
impressive.
badass, but I'm sure he was pissed.
And that moment always stood out to me because I'm always like,
why'd that actor
bullshit.
throw a real knife? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. He was probably in character as the orc.
Okay.
That's how I'll justify it.
Really intense method acting.
He's probably really just a
or
fucking
maybe there
idiot.
was like behind the scenes stuff. Maybe
He's
they had a thing for
stupid.
each other and it went south.
He is racist.
There's a lot of character study.
There's too much character study. In Thor, when Loki is like, father, and then Anthony Hopkins just goes,
Wait, like what? Like
And-
what?
like, father. And then Anthony Hopkins, yeah. That moment I always thought was kind of silly because I thought he was actually saying a word, and I was like, oh, I just don't understand what he's saying.
It's just
Now
also
that I
very
find out it's a
weird to
grunt.
scream. I mean, I've had to scream for stuff out of fear on sets, and it's always very awkward because you don't know how you're gonna scream, and then when you're forcing it, it's just weird.
Well, he's heartbroken in that moment. You know, he has to banish his son to another planet in order to teach him a lesson.
Maybe he's just a douchebag.
Yeah, that's also the other
Can you
interpretation of Odin.
imagine being banished from your planet?
Well,
That's a lot of stress to handle as a human being or whatever, you know, a superhero.
what I grew up knowing was
Mm-hmm.
if you're not a good person on Earth, you
Uh-huh.
get banished to hell forever.
I like how
It's a
light
good
we're
belief.
keeping this.
Yeah, this is light humor. And when I talk about defining moments, like Star Trek characters are such a classic character, all of them. And then this guy who has the nickname of Bones has a very specific backstory, and then he changes it in the moment, and they actually go
What
with it.
power you have!
You've never seen Star Trek?
No. I'm failing. Failing at life.
That is what I wanted to tell you before the camera started rolling.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually good that you
So we have
admitted that to
many
yourself.
things to talk about.
Yeah, you are a failure. You have a lot more success than me going right now, so never mind.
Wait, I thought your dick was getting bigger.
Madison, please, you know that's a lie. And then Viggo Mortensen again when he like kicked the helmet and broke his toes. And then he lets out that yell, and I remember watching that
Your
moment like.
commitment as an actor
Ugh.
to continue going amidst an injury.
But it's so funny how the improvised moment, because I know there are moments in The Dark Knight that are improvised. I know in Full Metal Jacket, the drill sergeant improvised almost everything he said.
well, and like the adrenaline you get as an actor.
It's easier to come across more authentic in an improvised moment, if you know how to improvise, I think. Because you're not thinking about the words. You got to just be and speak, you know?
Yeah.
So I can see why a lot of directors are actually okay with improv. Because it gets you to behave like the character.
Well, it's so accidental. I think my favorite improvising moment that happened was I was working on a movie where I'm an evil ghost.
Okay.
And something called Jimmy Marks is Dead.
Okay.
And me and my co-star Cameron Monaghan were doing this scene where like I'm hunting him down as the evil ghost. I won't give it away. But he goes into his bedroom and shuts the door, and I come in, I'm banging on the bedroom door, and it was on him. And I was banging on the door, so it looked like someone was actually trying to bust in. And like, I don't look that strong, so I was like throwing my body into the door, and the door started to break, and literally there was a hole, and I climbed through the hole. And so when you watch the movie, my friend Cameron is like terrified out of his mind, probably thinking she'd break down the door. But
Is that a metaphor for your relationships? Oh, God.
why are you so funny? Every day are you just like, why am I so funny?
Usually. And why am I so good looking and why is my penis so small? So, yeah.
You keep changing what you're saying about
That's
that.
the
Makes
truth.
me wonder.
It's the truth. You're wondering? It makes
Oh my
her
God.
wonder.
Why do you twist things?
Why does she twist things? Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in.
Anyway. As we were saying.
If you're new to the channel, you can subscribe to The Real Rejects.
Which
What-
you should totally do.
Yes, yes, thank you, Madison. And for Madison, the wonderful, working, beautifully talented actress, she is on a lot of social networks at Madison Beaty. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
All of it. I'm there.
And I have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter too. She has a few more followers than me. A few thousand more followers than me. few 10,000 more followers.
I follow you.
That means nothing to me.